soldiers leaving the UK and going out to fight against IS. So we've just received these pictures of Peshmerga and Iraqi troops on the offensive. And this location, we believe, is Sardiya, which IS has been fighting in since the summer. Let's talk now about these two British men, one of them a former soldier, who've travelled to Syria. That was Iraq that those pictures are taken in. But these soldiers who've travelled to Syria to fight alongside Kurdish forces against Islamic State in a similar way. Let's talk to Mark Campbell. He's in West London. He's a Kurdish rights campaigner. And Mark, I believe you've had contact with people on the front line who are these two men that have gone out there. Tell us what they've said.
Well, I think they have heard about the reporting of them, and they just wanted to give the very strong message that, it has been reported that they might in some way be mercenaries, and they categorically deny that they're mercenaries. And in actual fact, they're trying to provide support and actually trying to raise money for the Kurdish forces who are fighting ISIS. They also said they wanted to give the message that they're not very happy with the way that the British government are allowing radical extremists in this country to organise in this country. And they said, and that was part of the justification for them, they said, well, if the radical extremists are going to organise in this country, then they're going to go over to Syria and fight them on the front lines, which indeed we believe that they've left for the front lines today.
Mark, you've been speaking to them. Have you been able to ascertain whether or not it's just two people that have gone out? One of them a former British soldier, we understand, who served 3 tours in Afghanistan. Any other men who feel that they need to get out there and fight IS?
Well, it's 70 days now since the besiegement of the Kurdish city of Kobani, and the Kurds have been fighting heroically with the cover of the coalition forces, and over those 70 days there has built up a huge amount of support internationally for the Kurdish fight that's going on in Kobani. Apart from these 2 UK soldiers, there are obviously reports and pictures of American soldiers there too. I believe there's a Canadian woman who has joined YPG recently as well. And of course on the border there's a very large international solidarity from many different countries from all over the world who are helping in the humanitarian assistance for the refugees from Kobani. So in short, there's a building international solidarity with the Kurds' fight against ISIS, but specifically I don't know of any other UK soldiers who have joined like these two.
So far, only European and US airstrikes, as far as help is concerned, and officers there, we believe, in a training capacity support the Kurdish fighters battling IS. Is there an appetite, if you like, on the ground that there does need to be an on-ground offensive, the boots-on-the-ground idea that politicians are so resistant to, given the domestic appetite to pull away from wars in the Middle East?
I think the last last 20 days has shown that with close air support that the coalition forces are giving to the Kurdish forces on the ground, that they are effectively, ISIS are now retreating from Kobani, and we've seen them very effectively fighting ISIS. So I don't really believe that official ground forces are needed, but what is needed is a lot of political pressure put onto Turkey, because we don't really understand why Turkey, a NATO member, are still blockading and besieging the city of Kobani themselves. They're not allowing any humanitarian aid. What is going on? Why are Turkey persisting with this anti-Kurdish attitude and seemingly to be supporting ISIS? So, no, I think the Kurds are very effectively fighting ISIS, heroically fighting and defeating and driving them back, but NATO member Turkey, seems to be supporting ISIS and besieging the town of Kobani. So I think with close air support that the coalition forces are giving the Kurds, they are the ground forces, they are the boots on the ground. So I think the British government, we all of us internationally need to support the Kurdish forces fighting ISIS. But I don't think we, I mean, we need to do more support. The UK government needs to give, they need to provide arms, for example, to the Kurdish forces. They need to unban the Kurdish, the PKK, who are on the front line fighting ISIS, but banned by the British government. It's ridiculous. Turkey have made up these lies against the PKK. The PKK are the Kurdish liberation forces of the Kurdish people who have defended them for decades, and it's ridiculous that all the governments, toe in line with Turkey, and we've now seen, exactly what Turkey's agenda is. They're very anti-Kurdish. So I think unbanning the PKK, giving more humanitarian aid and arms to the Kurds who are fighting ISIS, supporting the Kurdish forces is the best way forward.
Mark Campbell in West London, good to hear your thoughts on that.